Hi folks, Dick Fairburn here. I'm adding this video to my series of fighting rifle cartridges. Not because any of these cartridges have a big share of the market, but a lot of people have asked with, hey Dick, you're going to cover the 6.5 Grindle, or you're going to talk about the 300 hammer. So I'm going to run down a list that it looks to me like these are some of the most common oddball cartridges for an AR. I've only used a couple of them personally, so a lot of this is just information that I've gathered off the internet or talked with folks who have used them. So I'm going to run down some of these cartridges. If you have one, great. I didn't want you to be insulted and be left out. If you don't have one and you think that either the 5.56 or the 300 black doesn't fill the need you have, then maybe one of these is what you're looking for. And and the advantage of the AR is if we can just get a new upper with a barrel assembly. Sometimes the bolt needs to be changed, sometimes it doesn't. And so you can pop uppers on and off and go with different calibers, different barrel lengths, different optics, platforms that you can put on there, and you can customize it however you want. So let's run down some of these other AR cartridges. The 6.5 Grindle, introduced in 2003. It was designed as a long-range cartridge for the AR-15 platform. And by long range, I mean about 200 to 800 yards. Mostly, I believe, as a target cartridge, not intended for hunting or necessarily for military use. But we'll see. Some militaries are looking at them. Normally, it fires a 129 grain bullet at about 2,500 feet per second. And they're generally putting these in 24-inch barrels, so they're getting as much velocity as they can and using it for long-range target competition. Because of the ballistic coefficient of 6.5 and 7mm bullets, but in 6.5 we're talking about here, this load will stay supersonic out to 1,200 yards, which is considerably farther than the 7.62 NATO. And for target shooting, you want to keep your cartridges either above the speed of sound or below. A lot of 22 match shooters will shoot subsonic ammo because whenever the bullet moves from supersonic to subsonic, that transition zone, a lot of times accuracy starts to fall off. So keeping this cartridge, the 6.5 Grindle, being able to stay supersonic out past 800 to 1,000 yards, it lets it work for a long-range target round. As I said, I don't know that it's been in use by the military. I think some of our special operators have kind of toyed with it. But one article I read said that the Serbian military is apparently adopting a weapon chambered for Grindle for their general purpose use. So, 6.5 Grindle. 6.8 SPC, special purpose cartridge. This almost became a big deal. It was developed jointly by Remington Arms, the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit, and Socom, Special Operations Command. They were looking in a thing called the Enhanced Rifle Cartridge Program. They wanted more oomph than the 5.56. They decided that a 6.5 projectile, like the 6.5 Grindle, gave them the best accuracy and penetration in their testing. 7mm projectile gave them the best terminal performance, so they kind of compromised on the 6.8, which is a 277 diameter. That is the diameter of a 270 Winchester hunting cartridge. It is also the diameter of the new 6.8 by 51 military round, supposed to be adopted for both machine guns and the SIG Spear rifle. Time will tell. They're having some growing pains with the cartridge. I understand that their 80,000 pound pressure limit has already been reduced because they couldn't hold accuracy at that level. I'm not sure if that thing's going to come to fruition or not, but we'll see. Now the 6.8 SPC was taken to combat by some of our Socom units, and they found it to be a better stopper than the 5.56, especially at short range. But they thought it faltered at long range. It did not carry the energy out the way they wanted because it's simply too small. To fit in a standard length AR, you just can't get that much power in there. In 2007, both the United States Army and the Marine Corps, who had been playing with this cartridge, both decided not to adopt it. So the 6.8 SPC has been pushed off to the wayside. Okay, the 30 Remington AR, designed by Remington Arms. It was a 30 caliber to fit in an AR-15, and it was about the biggest case diameter and length that they could really make work in that action. It was designed as a hunting cartridge. It started a 125 grain Spitzer bullet at about 2,800 feet per second from a 24-inch barrel. 24-inch barrels get kind of awkward to carry, but they were looking for maximum performance. It is somewhat more powerful than the 30-30. It is not anywhere near the 7.62 or the 308, but it kind of fits in between. It should have given decent performance on deer-sized targets out to 300, maybe 400 yards with the right bullets. It was a total commercial failure. It was discontinued by Remington not long after it was introduced. So 30 Remington AR, I'm not aware of any ammunition or even brass being available, even though you might have a rifle. So the 300 Hammer was a development of SIG Arms. Cartridge delivers 7.62 by 39 level performance from a case based on the 5.56. Wilson Combat makes rifles for it. I believe SIG does as well. They both also have commercial ammo available. Wilson claims it performs like a long-range 30-30, pushing the performance out to 300 yards or so because it has a lot better ballistic coefficient on the projectiles. This one has some legs. I think the 300 Hammer will have a small following out there, and the fact that you can get ammunition and brass for it is going to help. So we'll see. It may take off into something. Also designed as hunting cartridges were the next two or three I'm going to talk about. In the last few years, Winchester has brought out two cartridges for the AR, both the 350 Legend and the 400 Legend. These are straight wall cases, and what they were meant to fill was here in Illinois and a bunch of other Midwestern states, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, part of Michigan come to mind. For years, for deer hunting, we have been restricted to the use of shotgun slugs or muzzle loaders. No rifles, because they thought rifles would carry too far and be too dangerous. But most of those states now have adopted what they call straight wall rifle cartridges for the use in deer hunting. The 350 is obviously a 3.55 bullet. The 400 is bigger. I think both of them are pretty effective out to 250 yards, maybe 300 yards for deer or black bear-sized creatures. Here in Illinois, I ended up buying a 350 Legend Savage bolt action. In Illinois, of course, they have to always go one step further. We have to have them in a single shot format here. So you can't have a magazine with you. But I found a magazine replacement for the Savage rifle. It's just a loading tray, throw around in, close the bolt, and you have a single shot rifle. The 350 Legend started out pretty good. I'm not sure where the 400 is going to go in this. There are other straight walls that have been created as well, but they are not going to fit in an AR platform. 450 Bushmaster, now we're getting big. 4.52 diameter bullets, so that's the diameter of the 45 Colt or the 454 Casull. It gives reasonably flat trajectory with some pretty heavy bullets out to about 200 yards, usually a 250 grain bullet at about 2,200 feet per second from a 20-inch barrel. That's pretty good performance. And those large bullets are going to do well on deer, black bear. We're talking about the same kind of creatures. We're kind of talking about the same kind of ranges here. The 450 Bushmaster has also been chambered in Ruger #1 single-shot rifles. So as a cartridge, it may become more popular, but as a fighting rifle, I just don't see the utility. You're going to have a lot more recoil, a lot more expense in the ammunition. Like the next one, the 458 Socom. Another attempt to deliver 45-70 type performance from an AR platform. Uses a lengthened 500 Action Express round. Has the head diameter of a 30-06 or 308, so therefore you're going to have to change bolts. Bottlenecked cartridge, it'll start a 300 Barnes tipped bullet at about 1,900 feet per second. So we are talking 45-70 level performance. Now, despite the military-sounding name, I don't believe any of the Socom units ever seriously considered the use of this cartridge. I mean, you could throw even heavier bullets out of this thing, and with a silencer in subsonic velocity range, it could be quite a thumper. But it's such a specialized niche that I just don't see it as a fighting rifle at all. And to go one step further into the ridiculousness is the 50 Beowulf. This was introduced in an AR by Alexander Arms in 2001. It is essentially the 500 Magnum revolver case, but with a rebated rimless head. This will start a 400 grain bullet at 1800 feet per second from a 16-inch barrel. So that beats most standard pressure loadings of a 45-70. If you really think you need to go brown bear hunting on Kodiak Island and take an AR to do it, then this is probably your baby. I don't know that you're going to be able to buy ammo for it. There may be some custom makers that make it, so it may be strictly a reloading, hand-loading thing. Kind of neat. It's as much poop as you can pack in an AR, but as a fighting rifle, I don't see the point to it. Now, of course, one that I've skipped over here is the 7.62x39. It has been chambered in AR rifles, both by Colt and other makers. It has been in Ruger's Mini 30 version of the Mini 14, and they seem to function just fine with that Soviet round. And over the years, we've seen some of the Soviet-style rifles, the AK-style rifles, that have been chambered for our 5.56. So I guess cross-pollination goes both ways. If you want a 7.62x39 in an accurate semi-auto rifle, then maybe an AR platform is the one you need to look at. In my experience, the AK is just, they're not accurate rifles. Several commenters have requested that I discuss true hunting caliber rounds, like the 270 Winchester. There are so many cartridges in this genre that I'm not sure where I would ever stop. And anything like a 270 is going to be a heck of a man stopper. I mean, it'll kill elk out to 300 or 400 yards, so it's certainly going to put a human down. One commenter asked me for a discussion of the 6.5x55 Swede. Now, that was designed as a military cartridge, but to my knowledge, it's never been built in a semi-auto rifle. It's always been bolt action. And the 6.5x55 is an excellent cartridge. I mean, they kill European moose with it, which I believe they call elk over there. They're almost as big as the moose in North America and further out in Asia, but I mean, they're putting moose down reliably with this 6.5 millimeter cartridge. So it kind of punches above its weight, I guess, when it comes to hunting big game animals. But as a fighting rifle, if you really think you want that level of performance, then you need to get yourself an AR-10 chambered for the 6.5 Creedmoor. Creedmoor has become an incredibly popular round in this country. I think as a hunting rifle, it's a bit overdone. I don't personally think it's better for much more than bear or deer-sized animals. But a 6.5 Creedmoor in an AR-10 style rifle could be an excellent fighting rifle. It's going to be less recoil than the 7.62. It's going to give just as much range, probably more, and can be as accurate as you want to pay to have an AR built. So the 6.5 Creedmoor, to me, does look like a potential fighting rifle cartridges. And maybe someday I'll do a discussion of hunting grade rifles, 270, 243, 338 Winchester Magnum, things of that sort. But that, to me, doesn't fit into the discussion of fighting rifles. So hopefully I've covered all the common fighting rifle calibers and even branched out a little bit into the 30-30, maybe the 6.8 SPC, that have potential to use along that way. So hopefully I've covered most of what you're interested in. I guess if there's anything left, by all means, drop a comment in here. And I'll get ready for the next series of videos I'm going to produce. I'm going to talk about the 1911 pistol. From its beginning in 1911 to the 2011 series of pistols we're seeing now. If you think I'm a FUD because I like this design, then you think whatever you like. There are more 1911s being made by more manufacturers nowadays than ever. They're being sold in larger numbers than ever. This is probably the most timeless auto pistol design. And there's a lot of things we can learn about the 1911 and a lot of variations that might fit your life. So next up, we're going to talk about the 1911s. Folks, thanks for watching these videos. It's a real honor for me when you do. My numbers are going up, and I appreciate it. Take care. Be safe out there. Okay, we got them both here now. You ready? Bud got one. Ginger got one. Oh, she missed it. She usually gets them, doesn't she, Bud? Okay, girl, last one. You ready? You ready? Yeah! That's all there is till next time.